parent company of Deep Silver is finally feeling the consequences of Deep Silver's actions, and it all has to do with the release of the Saints Row Reboot. But before I get into it, if you could like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. The Embracer Group is the parent company of Violation Deep Silver. And boy, has their child been acting naughty. Since the release of the Saints Row Reboot, the Embracer Group's stock has been falling. Deep Silver's shady actions is finally catching up to them. When the review embargoes got lifted for this game, we started seeing more reviews come out from gaming sites. And a lot of these gaming sites, they were giving the game a mediocre score, which I'm really surprised because of two reasons. One reason is because a lot of the sites that were trying to hype this game up were the ones that kind of gave it a mediocre score, which I thought, and I said it before, so I'm going to admit I was wrong, that these sites were going to double down once this game came out. But hey, I was wrong. Maybe they've seen the common sense and, they decided to not try to deceive people. The second reason is that I think a lot of these ratings, a lot of these mediocre ratings, are being pretty generous because the game, it just, I don't like it. I knew I wasn't going to like it, but it's a bad game. People have been saying that, and that's going to bring me to my next point. I don't want you guys to look at the reviews from the critics or take them really into consideration, because usually reviews from critics are, not 100% credible. But instead, I want to take you over to the Metacritic page and show you just some of the things that people are saying about this reboot. So here we are over on the Metacritic page for the Saints Row Reboot for the PC. As you can see, the user score is 2.0, and that is based on 90 ratings. Now, if we just take a look at some of the, I don't know, I guess you can say comments there to the left, you can see that people aren't really happy. Right out the first here, we got some kind of mediocre ones, and we got one that's 10, and it's in Russian, I think. I'm not sure if that's Russian or not. Those aren't the ones I really want to look at. I want to look at what people are negatively saying about this game. The first one here is that by, the first one here by Chikaro1 says this is probably the worst game I have ever seen in my life. The Violation's attitude and general response not helping at all. So I don't know if Violation has put out an official statement about the launch of this game yet. I don't think they did, so I don't really know what he means by the general response. Maybe it has to do with the bugs, because I know that a lot of people are saying they ran into a lot of bugs, and it's that bad over on the PlayStation consoles that, from what some people have been saying, from what I've been reading online, that the game is completely unplayable for some people over there. But for the Violation attitude part, I get that. I honestly do get it, because it's the same attitude they had throughout the entire development cycle of this game. And it's the attitude of that their shit does not stink. We've seen this time and time again with the articles they put out, how they claimed that the old fans of the game and the new fans of the game were going to love this reboot, that it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And well, it wasn't, was it now? And then if we go down here, well, you can read this one here, and this guy is saying that it's being review bombed by people who didn't play the game. I told you this is what a lot of people were going to say. It's a defense saying that, this game is good. It's the vocal minority that's reviewer bombed it, and they never even played the game. They just don't like that it's woke. I told you guys that this was going to happen. I told you guys a couple of videos back, I believe, Saints Row videos back. But if you read this reply here from that guy 8114, or this little comment here, it says this: I had to make a blank Metacritic account for this blank game. I love the original games, very nostalgic for me, but this game filled with the game breaking both filled with game breaking bugs. Sorry, an awful writing and voice acting. Seems like it wasn't even finished when they released the game, other than a couple of engine assets. I requested a refund from PlayStation for playing it for less than 5 hours, and they declined me. I want my refund for this unfinished game. So there's a lot of speculation. I shouldn't say there's a lot of speculation. There's some speculation going around. It's been going around since before this game released, and I'm not sure how true it is. It's just speculation at this point. That the reason why Deep Silver didn't put the Saints Row game on Steam is because of the refund policy, which I think a lot of people would be getting refunds for this game. And Epic Games, I don't think they have a refund policy. I don't think they do that stuff. Which I guess it's a good thing for Deep Silver because if they did, they probably would lose a lot of money in refunds. And anyways, if we could just keep continuing down here, we see it is it's more of the same, right? It's people complain. It's that the game isn't good, the characters aren't good, the story isn't good, the game's broken, the game's buggy. It's all that stuff. And one of the things I see here is that some people are giving it a 10 out of 10. And this guy pretty much says right here, okay, giving it a 10 out of 10 to interact the reviews that haven't played the game. Because if you call it woke trash, you probably didn't even buy it. So this game, it is woke trash. I went ahead from what I've played of it, there is wokeness in it. And you can definitely see that was the route they were going with this game. I mean, they joke about climate change. They joke about fucking carbon footprints, and they're trying to pass it off as something funny when, it's like Amy Schumer level of funny. And that means that it's not funny at all. And I think that it's really going to double down the farther I get into the game. I'm only 3 hours under it now. But, yeah, but to get back to my original point here, my original train of thought, this guy gave it a 10 because of the review scores that are giving it a 0. You shouldn't do this. You really shouldn't do this. The reason why is that if you think the game's a 10, give it a 10, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's your own opinion. But by giving it a 10 and not thinking that it is a 10 and doing it just to offset the bad reviews, it's trying to deceive people, saying that this game is better than it really is, and that isn't the case. I do think that maybe maybe a couple of these reviewers are people who haven't played the game some of these viewers, but I actually think that a lot of these viewers are from people who legitimately played the game. So it's their honest opinion of the game, and by giving the game a 10 out of 10, the highest score you can give it on Metacritic, just because of the bad reviews, it's not helping no one, man. It's not helping the gaming community. It's it's pulling a Deep Silver, as I'm going to start calling it now. And if you need any more proof that this game isn't being well received, just search up Saints Row Reboot review in the YouTube search bar and hit enter. From what I have played of this game, I can see why people are saying all the negative things they are seeing. The dialogue isn't captivating. The characters feel so goddamn bland. The Deep Silver has taken a lot of things from the original series and ripped them off completely while trying to package them as something new, or I should say pass them off as something new. And worst of all, I'm not even going to say it's the wokeness of this game that's the worst of everything. No. It's that they try to humanize the boss. It just isn't good, and it doesn't feel like a Saints Row game. This here, it's a bittersweet moment for me. I started posting videos on this YouTube channel to express my opinion about the Saints Row reboot nearly 4 months ago. And straight from the start, I was saying that the game was going to fail, right? There's no possible way I could see it doing good. And I was right. And the kid in me is kind of like, yeah, you're right, yeah, you weren't wrong. Like kind of like all giddy and acting childish, which, might be a very immature thing to say. But it is. But then the Saints Row fan in me the one that loved original games, the one that hoped that somehow this game wasn't going to be bad. It's they're sad. They're so damn sad because I know that there's a big chance, there's more than a big chance that this reboot has killed the Saints Row franchise. There are 3 expansions, I believe, that are supposed to be getting released for this game, but unless the expansions completely redo what Deep Silver has done with the reboot, this might be the last Saints Row game we get. It sucks ass, and I don't know. I think that if this series was to survive by some miracle, they would need to do 2 things. One, Deep Silver's done. Deep Silver is fucking done. You do not leave them touch this game again. The IP needs to go to a different developer. That's going to be the case. Deep Silver has fucked up, and I don't think that that no matter what they do, they will not earn the fans' respect back again. Second thing, and I think that whatever new company gets this series, this is just my hypothetical speaking, if they pass the IP to a new company, the first thing they should do is that they should remaster Saints Row 2. I'm not even saying this as a fan of Saints Row 2. I'm thinking about it more of from a, I guess you can say, PR standpoint. You know, it would earn some of the grace of the old fans back if they did this. And, you know, it would go over a lot. It would show that this new company will be listening. But when I say a remaster, I mean a remaster. I don't mean a remake. I don't mean a reboot. I mean a straight up remaster of either the second game or the first game. Improve the graphics, improve the gameplay. That's it. You leave the story the way it is. But I don't think that's going to happen, right? I mean, the optimist in me is hoping that that is the case. That this won't be the last game we see in the series, but I just think it is. I think Deep Silver has fucking killed this series. But let's talk about something else. Not none of this depressive bullshit and thinking that this game's done for. This series is done for. Let's move on. Let's talk about better things. In defense, I see people using when other people criticize this game, and I've seen it up to the launch of this game, is that these, I guess you can say, diehard fans of this reboot is saying that it's just the vocal minority that's criticizing the game. It's the OG fans. But you know what? You know what? I'll tell you this right now. The vocal minority caused a multi-billion-dollar corporation to lose a pretty decent chunk of change. So maybe, just maybe, just hear me out here, okay? So just hear me out. Shut up and listen. Maybe that vocal minority wasn't a minority at all. Maybe it was a majority. Maybe you were just saying it was a vocal minority to cope with the fact that this game isn't going to do good, that people do not like wokeness in video games, that the majority of people do not like identity politics, which is probably going to be in this game. Maybe, just maybe, we weren't the minority at all, but you were. And to go with this, to kind of satisfy my sadistic urges, I went ahead and I decided to stroll through Twitter just to see how these people were reacting to this game, what kind of defenses, what kind of excuses they were coming up with, which is exactly what I told you guys they were going to do, because this is the type of fan base the woke gaming community is. You know, they're this like toxic fan base. You don't like something they like, well, you know, that's a direct attack on them. So let's go over to Twitter and we'll kind of take a stroll through there and see what we see. So here we are on Twitter, and this is going to be the comment section of the Saints Row pinned tweet. The pinned tweet is saying something about the live action TV trailer that they had, Whatever. That's not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is some of these comments that I'm going to show you. So the first comment here is by this Will Coles. Those people that don't like it, oh well, you don't gotta play it. Get a refund or just shove it off as a hit and miss game. I'm sure some of us got titles in our library that we thought was going to be good, that we didn't care for. That's okay. Don't shit on hardworking developers. So let me go in order here. Okay, so I'm going to give you I'm going to go from the top to the bottom of what this fellow just said. So let's start off with the whole refunding thing. This is an extremely shitty attitude to have. Some people, they can't get a refund. There's other people in this comment section that have tried to get a refund and they weren't able to. And I probably would have been one of these people if I didn't have this game on Epic Games. Because if I didn't get this game on my PC, I was going to get it on my PlayStation 4 Pro. And the thing with this here is that I am speaking on behalf of everybody that lives in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. The closest city to me, the closest, I was going to say game store, which is a Best Buy, is about an hour and a half away. This game in Canada, I believe, costs like $82, maybe 90. It's something like that when taxes are in. In order for me to drive to an hour and a half away with the price of gas, it'll cost me around $40 there and back in my vehicle. So that's, say, $80. So that's $80 in gas. On top of the $80 I would spend on this game here, that's $160. Okay, now if I took this game home, if I didn't like it, if I wanted a refund, I would have to spend another $80 to go all the way back up to Best Buy to get that refund of, like I said, like maybe $80 or maybe $90, something like that. So I would have spent $160 in gas just to get a game that I didn't want. And you know, like it's nuts. Like this kind of thinking, you can't think like this. It's what's wrong. It's that if you don't like something, get a refund. Nobody should think like this. Nobody at all. We should be holding the developers to a higher standard so that we do not want a refund when we play a game. But then you can kind of see this line of thinking too repeating itself with what he says on the bottom, saying that, but don't shit on hardworking developers. You absolutely should shit on hardworking developers. You absolutely should shit on Violation. When I say this, I'm not saying harass them. I'm not saying send them threats. Nothing like that, right? If you do that, you're a piece of shit. But we should be holding the developers to a higher standard so that this does not become an industry standard. Deep Silver, they deceived us throughout this whole development process, throughout the whole development cycle. Did a bunch of videos on that. You can watch it if you want. But that's the case, right? They've been lying. They've been saying that, you know, this game's going to be great. It's not going to be great. The game was released buggy as hell for some people, unplayable for some people that bought the game. This isn't fine. You absolutely should be shitting on these developers because they did a shitty job with the game. This isn't good. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this got pushed through by the publisher, by THQ Nordic, or whatever, by their investors, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But the game shouldn't have released the way it was released. There's no excuse for it. If we keep going down here, there's a couple more comments I want to read to you guys too. One right here. I don't care what people say. This game is a masterpiece. 4K graphics with seamless GPS. Great visuals, soundtracks, gameplay. Only if people would play the game and stop trying to compare it to everything else. Also voicing their own opinion, not being a sheep and talk trash. Well, I mean, this is kind of ironic, but let me say this. I've said in my other videos too, right? You like a game, you should form your own opinion on it, whether that's through watching gameplay, or whether that's through playing the game yourself. Because a lot of the times, the reviewers, they don't share the same, they don't share the same opinion as us. But calling this game a masterpiece, calling this game a goddamn masterpiece, that is the biggest lord of horse shit I have ever heard or I have ever read. If you like this game, you like the game. It's not a masterpiece though, right? Like you just said, lots of bugs, lots of unplayability in this game, and you know, it just I don't know, man. I think this guy's lying to himself when he says this. Especially this, when he says with 4K graphics with seamless GPS. Well, I know for a fact that's bullshit. What the fuck? Why the fuck is that telling me to go straight and this is telling me to go down here? There we go. No, the arrows are still up there. Oh man, Deep Silverby, like these little things, they're not like they're easy to catch and they wouldn't take a lot to fix. If we continue on here, there is two more things I want to read, two more tweets that really stuck out to me. Once again, this is like right below the other tweet. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. The new Saints Row is not bad. It's not amazing either. All the so-called OG fans finding anything they complain about is sad. The amount of people that wanted Saints Row to go back to its roots, it does now. They complain it's the same formula. So besides that little like grammatical error, I'm bad at grammar too, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But for the whole wanting to go back to its roots, this game doesn't do it. When the OG fans said that they want this game to go back to its roots, they weren't talking about building a new Saints gang, I guess you can say, up from the ground. No. They meant that they wanted a semi-serious gangland story. Excuse me. Which this isn't. It's not, right? It's like ridiculous. You got a bunch of kids fucking fighting to pay off their student loans. That's why they start the game. No. Just no, man. It's nuts. It's like, hey, we're pretty bored. Maybe we should start a gang. That's not what happens, right? Like in the Saints Row 1, you see that the player in that game, which is what he was called before he became the boss, the player was caught in a drive-by shooting between these three different gangs. And that's what gets him to join the Saints. He joins the Saints out of survival. And in the case, a lot of the times, that's what happens in real life. A lot of gang members, they're born into poverty. They're born in these really shitty neighborhoods, and joining the gang is the only way to survive, is the only way to make money, is the only way to put food on their table. This is what people wanted. They wanted this more serious story. They didn't want whatever the fuck you call the Saints Row reboot. And lastly, here we will look at this here, because I got a good laugh out of this one here. You players who are hating on the game need to stop and wake up and realize that they have put out a game that is a full reboot in an open world that evolves as you freaking play. Lack of NPCs, get to the second chapter. Lack of content, get the gold edition. You could have the most complex world there is in a video game. You could literally have every single NPC in this world go do jobs every single day, come home, eat, go out to eat, read books, whatever, right? You could develop the most complex world in a video game. None of that is going to matter if the game sucks donkey dick. And the Saints Row reboot, it sucks donkey dick. And what he says at the bottom here, this is what kind of gave me the chuckle. Lack of content, get the gold edition. Hey, if you're not happy that you didn't get enough content with the game that you purchased, probably close to $100 price tag, excuse me, then why don't you give the developers more money? You can get the gold edition. It'll add more content to the game. I don't know what's included in the gold edition, but I'm telling you right now, if there's extra activities in it, if there's extra missions other than just like a couple of offshoot side activities and shit, I'm going to be pissed. Because game developers, they should not be doing this when they release a game. Because you have essentially someone paying for a full game at a higher price, and someone who pays the lower price, they're not getting the full game. It's different with DLC in there, right? Like if you get the gold edition and you get the season pass, all that stuff, that's completely different because they're going to sell the expansion separately. But doing this here, especially at launch, like, no. So apparently, guys, if you don't like a game, you should throw more money at the developers in the hopes of you'll like it. The thing is, Deep Silver has made plenty of mistakes with this reboot. In fact, I'd argue that there's too many to actually count. But one of the things that they said, and this is going to be probably the third biggest mistake on my list of the things they did to mess up this reboot, was refusing to listen to fan feedback. Even though that they claimed that since the 2021 reveal, they were taking fan feedback into consideration. This game, it wasn't made for the fans. It was made for the developers. It was made for this new woke audience that wouldn't even dare to play the old Saints Row game. It's for this politically correct bullshit audience. What makes all of this worse is that Deep Silver expected everyone to love their game. They have come out and said that all the new fans will love this game. And this whole attitude that they had around the Saints Row Reboot is that their shit doesn't stink. Well, everybody's shit stinks. And this has got to be one of the stinkiest ones I have smelled. Deep Silver, but more importantly, the Embracer Group, who owns a pretty decent chunk of the video game industry, has learned one of the most important lessons there is to learn. What's that, you might ask? I think you guys already know what it is, but I'll tell you anyways. It is a lesson of get woke, get broke. It's happened time and time again. We see this with Disney. We see this with fucking like the whole Star Wars franchise, the MCU, any other franchise, right? Amazon, the Rings of Power too. I'll throw that one in there too. When you go woke, people are going to be pissed off, especially if it was a franchise that was never woke before. And hopefully, more video game companies will learn from this goddamn mistake Deep Silver has made. That is the Saints Row reboot. But hey, that's just my opinion. In case you didn't know, I'm Gamer Geek. If you could like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Peace out.